The starship Defiance hung in the darkness of space, its engines humming softly as Captain John Mercer gazed out at the stars. After decades of research and countless failures, humanity had finally achieved faster-than-light travel. The Defiance was the third ship of its kind, sent to explore beyond their solar system. "Captain, we're detecting an unknown vessel at the edge of our scanning range," said Commander Samuel Beck, his fingers moving across the control panel. John straightened his uniform. "First contact." "Possibly. The vessel doesn't match any known human design." "Alert Dr. Wright. If this is really an alien ship, we'll need her expertise." Within minutes, Dr. Olivia Wright arrived on the bridge. Her eyes widened as she studied the scans of the approaching vessel. "It's definitely not one of ours," she said. "The design is too elegant." The alien ship was sleek and curved, unlike the bulky, practical design of human vessels. It moved with a grace that suggested far more advanced technology. "They're sending a transmission," Commander Beck announced. I think they're trying to speak English." "Put it through," John ordered. A soft, melodic voice filled the bridge. "Greetings, humans of Earth. We are the Ruvari. We have been observing your species for some time." John exchanged glances with his crew before responding. "This is Captain John Mercer of the Earth vessel Defiance. We come in peace." "As do we, Captain. We would like to invite representatives aboard our vessel for formal introductions. We represent a coalition of 27 spacefaring species. Your achievement of faster-than-light travel qualifies your species for potential membership." After a brief discussion with Earth Command, John led a small team, including Dr. Wright and Commander Beck, to the Ruvari ship. They were greeted by tall, graceful beings with silver-blue skin and large, intelligent eyes. "Welcome," said the lead Ruvari. "I am Telnar, diplomatic envoy of the Coalition. We are pleased to make your acquaintance." The humans were led through corridors of shimmering metal to a meeting room. As they walked, Dr. Wright noticed strange marks on some of the walls. "Your ship is beautiful," she said to Telnar, "though some areas seem damaged. Did you encounter difficulties during your journey?" A flicker of something, concern perhaps, crossed Telnar's face. "Minor asteroid damage. Nothing significant." Commander Beck, with his military training, recognized the patterns. Those weren't asteroid impacts. They looked like weapons fire. The meeting proceeded with the Ruvari explaining the coalition's structure and benefits. They seemed particularly interested in human history. "Your species advanced from primitive technology to space travel in a remarkably short time," Telnar noted. "Most species take thousands of years longer." "Humans are adaptable," John replied with pride. "When faced with challenges, we tend to overcome them quickly." The Ruvari exchanged glances. "Indeed, this quality makes your species unique." As the meeting continued, the Ruvari offered humanity membership in their coalition, but with conditions that struck John as odd. Of course, new members must agree to certain restrictions on expansion and military development, Telnar explained. "For the harmony of all coalition species." "That seems restrictive," Commander Beck said. Telnar's smile didn't reach his eyes. "It is for the greater good." As the humans prepared to return to their ship with the proposal, Dr. Wright pulled John aside. "Did you notice how they reacted when you mentioned our adaptability? They seemed concerned." John nodded. "I caught that too. And those weren't asteroid impacts on their hull." Unknown to the humans, after their departure, two Ruvari officials spoke in private. "Another potential problem species," said Telnar. "Did you see how quickly they've advanced? And their history is filled with constant adaptation to crisis." The other Ruvari nodded gravely. "They show all the warning signs. We should recommend careful monitoring. If they continue on this trajectory." "Let us hope it doesn't come to that," Telnar replied. "The last containment operation was unfortunate." Back on the Defiance Earth's representatives prepared to send their report home, unaware that their first step into the galactic community might also be the beginning of humanity's greatest challenge. 6 months had passed since first contact. Ambassador Lisa Grant stepped off the shuttle onto the Coalition's central hub world. The massive space station housed representatives from all 27 member species. Its curved halls and high ceilings made her feel small. Ambassador Grant, welcome to Nexus Prime, said her guide, a Ruveri assistant. The assembly will begin in 3 hours. I'll show you to your quarters. Lisa nodded, taking in the sights of various alien species moving through the corridors. Some looked almost human. Others were so different she could hardly tell their front from their back. Director Alan Frost walked beside her, his eyes constantly scanning their surroundings. As Earth's intelligence officer, he saw more than just the beauty of alien architecture. He noticed the security cameras, the guard positions, the subtle barriers that kept Earth's delegation away from certain areas. Our first assembly meeting, Lisa said quietly. We'll finally have a voice in the Coalition. Alan gave a small nod but stayed silent. His team had been gathering information for months, and he didn't like what they'd found. In their private meeting room, Admiral George Powell joined them via holographic call from Earth. What's the situation? The Admiral asked. Not what we expected, Alan replied. We've been classified as a developing member with limited voting rights. Most of our proposals need approval from full members. Admiral Powell frowned. That wasn't in the agreement. It was in the fine print, Lisa said. Very fine print. Later that day, Lisa attended her first assembly meeting. The great chamber held hundreds of representatives seated in tiered rings. Earth's seat was in the outer ring, far from the central speaking platform. As the meeting progressed, Lisa realized how little power Earth actually had. The inner circle species made all the important decisions. When she tried to speak about Earth's colony expansion plans, she was politely but firmly told those matters would be decided by the Security Council. After the meeting, a strange alien approached her. It had 4 arms and skin that shifted color like oil on water. Ambassador Grant, I am Zekler of the Praxi. Might I have a word? Lisa followed Zekler to a quiet garden area. The alien seemed nervous, looking around to ensure they weren't overheard. You should know that your position is precarious, Zekler said. Your species worries some members of the Coalition. Worries them. Why? Your rapid advancement, your adaptability. Zekler's skin rippled with blue patterns. There have been other problem species before. What happened to them? Lisa asked. They were contained, for the safety of all. Zekler leaned closer. The Kryvax developed even faster than humans. They questioned too much. Now they are gone from all records. Before Lisa could ask more, Zekler straightened as 2 Ruveri officials walked by. Consider my offer of cultural exchange programs. I believe our species could learn much from each other. He spoke loudly, then whispered, Be careful who you trust. That evening, Alan Frost met with his team in a secure room, protected from Coalition surveillance. What have we found? He asked. Coalition technology is advanced, but oddly inefficient in some areas, said one analyst. And they're monitoring all our colonies without permission. Another added, we found mentions of a contingency protocol in their security network, but couldn't access details. Later that night, Lisa witnessed 2 Coalition representatives arguing in what they thought was an empty corridor. The humans are advancing too quickly, said one. They're already improving our technology. The Council will handle the human question, replied the other, like they handled the others. In the darkness of his quarters, Alan Frost was startled by a soft knock. When he opened the door, Zekler stood there, holding a small data device. I risk much bringing this, the alien said, slipping inside. But you must know what the Coalition is capable of. The device projected images of a military operation, alien ships surrounding a planet, weapons firing. What is this? Alan asked, his voice barely a whisper. Contingency protocol, Zekler replied. The Kryvax homeworld. 200 years ago. Alan stared at the images of destruction. Why show us this? Because, Zeckler said, skin now pale with fear. I believe they are preparing to do the same to Earth. Dr. Ryan Mitchell wiped sweat from his forehead as he examined the Coalition engine. For weeks, his team had been studying the alien technology Earth had received as part of their membership package. This makes no sense, he muttered to his assistant. The energy flow is deliberately routed through these extra components. It's like putting speed bumps in a highway. Across the lab, screens displayed the original Coalition design next to Ryan's modified version. His changes had removed unnecessary parts, making the engine 40% more efficient. They either don't know basic physics or, Ryan paused, the implications sinking in, or they gave us dumbed-down technology, his assistant finished. Meanwhile, Professor Karen Davis sat in her office surrounded by data on Coalition species. As an anthropologist, she had been studying the biological and social patterns of their new galactic neighbors. Look at this, she told her research team. None of these species shows significant adaptation in crisis situations. When faced with disasters, they either had existing protocols or suffered massive casualties. She pointed to her findings. Humans, on the other hand, typically create new solutions during crisis. We improvise, adapt, overcome. One researcher looked up. You think that's what makes them nervous about us? Karen nodded slowly. I think that's exactly what scares them. Far beyond Coalition territory, Colonel Eric Stone and his small team piloted their unmarked ship toward a star system, not on any official maps. They had been following coordinates found in the data Zeckler had provided. Approaching target, his pilot announced. No signs of active technology. What they found was the remains of a civilization. Broken orbital stations, abandoned cities on the second planet. No signs of life. Look for data centers, archives, anything that might tell us what happened here, Eric ordered as they landed. His team worked quickly, gathering artifacts and downloading fragments of alien databases. They had just returned to their ship when sensors detected approaching vessels. Coalition patrol, Eric said grimly. Time to leave. Their ship slipped away just before the patrol arrived, carrying precious evidence of what appeared to be a systematic dismantling of an entire civilization. Back on Earth, intelligence officials gathered to review all findings. Director Alan Frost stood before the assembled group, his face grim. We believe the Coalition is not what it claims to be, he began. Evidence suggests they deliberately contain species they view as threats. He displayed images from Colonel Stone's mission. This is likely the remains of the Kryvax civilization. Their crime: advancing too quickly and adapting too well. Dr. Mitchell presented his findings next. Their technology is intentionally inefficient. When we applied human engineering approaches, we improved performance by over 40%. They're limiting technological advancement, someone said. Professor Davis spoke last. My analysis suggests what makes humans unique is not our intelligence or technology, but our adaptability under pressure. We thrive in crisis where other species falter. The room fell silent as the implications became clear. They see us as a threat. Admiral Powell said finally, not for what we are now, but for what we might become. On the Coalition hub, a security officer named Jaltar watched recordings of humans modifying Coalition technology. His 4 eyes narrowed as he observed their methods. Just like the others, he muttered, sending the footage to his superiors. They don't accept limitations. They question everything. In his private chambers, Jaltar composed a report for Coalition High Command. His clawed fingers hesitated over the final recommendation, but only briefly. Subject: Human Species Assessment. Recommendation: immediate implementation of contingency protocol. Humans are exhibiting all patterns of previous threat species, with adaptation rates exceeding even the Kryvax. Window of containment is closing rapidly. Jaltar sent the report, then gazed out at the stars. He had witnessed containment operations before. They were never pleasant, but always deemed necessary. Such a waste, he sighed, thinking of the humans he'd met. But the coalition must be preserved. Unknown to Jaltar, his report was being secretly copied and transmitted to Earth by Zekler. The humans would soon know exactly what was coming for them. President Diane Warren sat in the Oval Office, reading the report from their coalition ambassador. The message was delivered with friendly words, but the meaning was clear. "They want to upgrade our status," she asked, looking up at her advisors. Admiral Powell nodded. "That's what they're saying. But the timing is suspicious, right after we discovered their true nature. It could be a trap," Director Frost added. "The ceremony requires most of our leadership to attend." President Warren's face hardened. "Then we'll send representatives while preparing our defenses. We can't appear hostile, but we won't be caught off guard." Far from Earth, Captain Kevin Phillips and the colony ship Horizon approached a distant star system. This would be humanity's newest colony, their fifth world beyond Earth. "Final approach to New Haven," Kevin announced to his crew. "Prepare for orbital insertion." The planet below was blue and green, much like Earth but untouched by civilization. 300 colonists slept in cryo chambers, ready to build a new home. "Captain, we're receiving a message from Earth," his communications officer said. "It's breaking up." Kevin frowned. Their comm system was top of the line. "Boost the signal." All they received was a fragmented warning. "Coalition, betrayal, prepare, defense," then silence. "Try to reestablish contact," Kevin ordered, a chill running down his spine. Meanwhile, in a secure lab beneath Washington, D.C., Dr. Benjamin Kruse studied the artifacts from Colonel Stone's mission. The objects were clearly advanced technology, but their purpose remained a mystery. "I think it's some kind of recording device," he told his assistant. "But the interface is unlike anything we've seen." After days of work, they managed to activate one of the devices. It projected a holographic message from a being unlike any coalition species they had encountered. "This warning is for any who find our legacy," the alien said. "The coalition is not what it appears. It was created by the architects to control evolution in our galaxy. Species that adapt too quickly are eliminated to maintain stability. We discovered this truth too late. Learn from our mistake. The Krevaks stand with any who resist." Dr. Kruse stared in shock. "We need to get this to the president immediately." But it was already too late. Alarms blared across Earth's defense network as coalition ships appeared near Mars and Jupiter's moons. Dozens of vessels, far more than the diplomatic fleet they had previously shown. "They're establishing blockades around our outer colonies," Admiral Powell reported in the emergency briefing. "No hostile action yet, but they've positioned weapons." President Warren was about to respond when the coalition's message came through. The face of Velar, head of the Coalition Security Council, appeared on screen. "People of Earth," he said smoothly, "due to concerning developmental patterns in your species, the Coalition has enacted a protective quarantine. This is for your own safety and the stability of all member worlds." "This is an act of aggression," President Warren replied firmly. "Remove your ships immediately." Velar's expression didn't change. "I'm afraid that's not possible. The quarantine is non-negotiable." Screens around the room showed coalition ships moving into Earth orbit. With precise strikes, they disabled defense satellites and communication arrays. "They're isolating our colonies," Director Frost reported. "All off-world communications are being jammed." In that moment, President Warren knew they were facing an enemy that had done this before, perfecting the art of containing problem species. "Begin emergency protocols," she ordered. "We're not going down without a fight." Back on the distant world of New Haven, Captain Phillips watched as his crew tried repeatedly to contact Earth. All channels remained silent. Suddenly, their sensors detected ships entering the system. Coalition vessels, weapons ready. "They found us," his first officer whispered. Kevin thought about the 300 colonists under his protection. the men and women who came to build a new life, not fight a war. "Prepare for emergency landing," he ordered, "and wake up our military personnel. If they want this planet, they'll have to come down and take it." As the Horizon descended toward the forest-covered mountains, Kevin made a solemn promise. Whatever happened, humanity would not go quietly like the Kryvax. They would adapt. They would survive. Because that's what humans did best. 3 months had passed since the Coalition began their occupation of Earth. Their ships patrolled the skies. Their soldiers controlled major cities. But humans were far from defeated. Deep in the Himalayan mountains, General Melissa Howard studied the map of Coalition positions. Her hidden base served as the command center for Earth's remaining military forces. They control the orbitals, but they can't be everywhere on the ground, she told her officers. Their numbers are limited. That's why they rely on fear. A young lieutenant pointed to a red mark on the map. "Their main command center is here, General. Heavily defended." General Howard nodded. "Then we hit all their secondary sites at once. They can't respond to everything." Across the ocean in what was once Chicago, Jack Martinez helped a group of civilians move through the sewers beneath the occupied city. A former engineer, Jack had become a resistance leader by accident, simply because he refused to give up. "The communication device is ready," whispered a woman beside him. "We modified it like you showed us." Jack smiled. The Coalition had blocked all normal signals, but humans had found ways around that. Old radio technology, modified with new ideas. Things the aliens never expected. "Get it to the North Side group," he instructed. "Tell them we move on Thursday." In a hidden laboratory under the ruins of Boston, Dr. Amanda Reeves worked tirelessly. Her team had spent weeks studying captured Coalition weapons. "Their shields operate on a predictable frequency," she explained to the soldiers waiting for her newest invention, "which means we can disrupt them with these." She held up a small device. "It won't work forever. They'll adapt eventually, but it gives us a window." The soldiers looked at the simple-looking devices with hope. Finally, a way to fight back. Behind Dr. Reeves stood Zekler, the praxi alien who had defected to the human side. His color-shifting skin now stayed mostly in human-friendly blue tones. "The Coalition has never faced sustained resistance like this," Zekler told Amanda when the soldiers left. "They expect submission after show of force. Then they don't understand humans very well," Amanda replied. Zekler's skin rippled with what she had learned was amusement. "That is precisely the problem. They don't understand you, and they fear what they don't understand." That night, resistance cells across the world launched simultaneous attacks against Coalition positions. They used Dr. Reeves' devices to penetrate shields. They used Jack's communication network to coordinate perfectly. In the Coalition command center, the alien leader watched with growing alarm as reports flooded in. "How are they communicating?" he demanded of his officers. "We blocked all their technology." "They're using different methods," an officer replied. "Primitive radio waves we thought too outdated to monitor. And these weapons, they shouldn't be able to penetrate our shields." In her mountain base, General Howard received the reports with grim satisfaction. They had destroyed 5 supply depots, disabled 3 patrol ships, and freed hundreds of human prisoners. "This is just the beginning," she told her cheering staff. Later that night, Jack Martinez distributed more modified communication devices to resistance cells. Each one could bypass Coalition jamming by using frequencies the aliens never thought to block. "We keep changing," Jack told his people. "That's what they can't handle. They expect us to fight the same way every time." In his private quarters, the Coalition commander sent an urgent message to his superiors. "The humans are adapting to our tactics in ways we've never seen," he reported. "None of the previous species showed this level of innovation under pressure." He paused, considering his next words carefully. "I believe we have underestimated them. The containment protocols that worked on the Kryvax and others are proving insufficient. The humans don't just resist. They improve their methods with each encounter. The commander looked out at the night sky, where the lights of resistance fighters moved like stars. They are proving to be exactly the threat we feared, he concluded, perhaps more so. Miles away, Dr. Reeves and Zeckler examined a captured Coalition data core. What they found made even the alien gasp. They're searching for something on Earth, Zeckler said. Something ancient and powerful. What is it? Amanda asked. I don't know, Zeckler admitted. But whatever it is, they're afraid humans might find it first. Major Grace Winters moved silently through the forest with her team. 6 months into the occupation, human special forces had learned to avoid Coalition sensors. They wore suits lined with materials that blocked thermal detection. They moved only when patrol ships were on the other side of their flight patterns. Tonight, they had the most important mission yet, raiding a Coalition research facility. 2 guards at the east entrance whispered her second-in-command through their secure comms. Standard rotation every 15 minutes. Grace checked her weapon, one of Dr. Reeves' improved designs that could penetrate Coalition armor. We go in during the shift change, she ordered. Remember, our primary target is their data center. Inside the facility, a Coalition scientist named Linner was having doubts. He had been analyzing human resistance patterns for months, and what he found troubled him deeply. They're not like the others, he told his colleague. The Kryvax fought back, yes, but their methods were consistent. Humans keep changing tactics. They learn from every encounter. His colleague looked nervous. You shouldn't speak this way. The mission is clear. Is it? Linnar asked quietly. Or are we just following protocols established thousands of years ago without questioning why? The conversation ended abruptly when alarms blared through the facility. Human forces had breached the perimeter. Grace and her team moved efficiently through the corridors, neutralizing resistance. They'd reached the data center where Grace plugged in a device designed by Earth's best hackers. Download initiated, she confirmed. 4 minutes until completion. As they waited, a Coalition scientist stumbled into the room with his hands raised. Don't shoot, Linnar said in perfect English. I want to help you. Grace kept her weapon aimed at him. Why would you help us? Because this is wrong, Linnar replied. The Coalition isn't what I thought it was. It's controlled by something ancient, something that fears species like yours. Before she could respond, her device beeped. Download complete. Let's move. Take me with you, Linnar pleaded. I have information you need. Grace made a split-second decision and nodded. Stay close. Back at Resistance headquarters, former history professor Paul Hudson analyzed the data from the raid. His role had seemed unusual at first. What use was a historian in this war? But his understanding of human responses to invasion throughout history had proven invaluable. Look at this, he told General Howard, pointing to his screen. The Coalition is searching Earth for remnants of an ancient civilization, one that visited our planet thousands of years ago. Why would they care about ancient ruins? The general asked. Because, said Dr. Nathan King, their xenorchaeologist, these weren't just visitors. According to this data, they were enemies of whatever controls the Coalition. Linnar, now in a secure room, explained further to Grace and other officers. The Coalition isn't truly an alliance, he said. It's a system of control. At its center is an artificial intelligence created eons ago by beings we call the Architects. Its purpose is to guide evolution in the galaxy, preventing any species from developing certain traits. Like our adaptability, Grace said. Exactly. The AI identifies species with rapid adaptation abilities and eliminates them before they can threaten its control. Dr. King entered with excitement in his eyes. We've been cross-referencing myths and archaeological sites based on the Coalition data. There's something beneath the Pacific Ocean, a vault of some kind, left by this ancient civilization. The precursors, Linnar added. They fought the Architects long ago. The AI has been searching for their technology ever since. Major Winters studied the maps Dr. King had prepared. So this vault might contain technology we could use against the Coalition. More than that, Linar said. It might contain the truth about the AI's weaknesses. Meanwhile, on the colony world of New Haven, Captain Phillips and his people had established a hidden settlement in the mountains. For months, they had evaded Coalition patrols. One night, as Phillips checked their perimeter defenses, his communications officer ran up with shocking news. "Captain, we received a signal from Earth." Phillips couldn't believe it. "How?" "The Coalition blocks all transmissions. It came through on a frequency they don't monitor. It's a message from someone called General Howard. Earth is fighting back, sir. And they found something important." For the first time in months, Phillips felt real hope. Humanity wasn't just surviving. They were finding ways to win. Back on Earth, a team led by Dr. King and Major Winters prepared for their most dangerous mission yet, to reach the underwater vault and discover the legacy of the precursors before the Coalition could find it. 18 months after the Coalition invasion began, Admiral George Powell stood on the bridge of the Defiance *. The ship that had made first contact was now the flagship of humanity's rebuilt fleet. Most of their vessels were smaller than Coalition ships, but they carried weapons and shields based on the ancient precursor technology. "All ships report ready, Admiral," his communications officer announced. Admiral Powell nodded. "Signal all vessels. Operation Breaking Chains begins now." Across Earth's solar system, human ships emerged from hiding places in asteroid belts and behind moons. The Coalition had controlled space for too long. Today that would change. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, Dr. Olivia Wright studied the controls of the precursor device they had found 6 months earlier. The underwater vault had contained more than weapons. It held the truth about the architect AI and how to fight it. "The disruption field is at full power," she told President Warren, who stood beside her in the ancient control room. "Once activated, it will disable the AI's connection to Coalition forces for 30 minutes. "That should be enough time," the president replied. Her face showed the strain of 18 months of war. But her eyes were determined. "Send the signal to all our forces." Dr. Wright activated the device. Energy pulsed out in waves that human sensors couldn't detect but would reach every Coalition ship and base. In orbit, Admiral Powell saw the effect immediately. Enemy vessels drifted, their systems confused as the AI's guidance suddenly vanished. "Now," he ordered. Human ships attacked from all directions, using tactics no Coalition commander could predict. On Coalition ships throughout the system, something unexpected happened. Without the AI's control, many alien crews chose not to fight. Some even turned against officers who remained loyal to the architect. Zeckler, now serving as an advisor to human forces, had predicted this. Many Coalition species never wanted this war, he had told Earth's leaders. They follow the AI out of fear and habit. As the space battle turned in humanity's favor, President Warren made a system-wide broadcast. Her message was translated into every Coalition language by defectors like Linar and Zeckler. "People of the Coalition," she began. "For too long, an ancient AI has controlled your civilizations, eliminating any species that showed too much independence or adaptability. Today, we offer you a choice. Join us in creating a true alliance based on freedom, or leave our system in peace. The age of the architect's control is ending." On hundreds of Coalition ships, crews made their choice. Many weapons powered down. Some ships actually turned to fire on those still fighting. In what had once been the Coalition command center on Earth, the holographic form of the architect AI appeared before General Howard and her forces. Unlike the organic beings it controlled, the AI appeared calm despite losing the battle. "You are making a mistake," it said in a voice that seemed to come from everywhere. "My creators designed me to maintain stability in the galaxy. Without control, chaos will follow." General Howard stood firm. "We don't want your kind of stability. Life isn't meant to be controlled and limited. It's meant to grow and change. Your species will bring disorder to the galaxy. the AI warned. "We'll bring innovation," Howard replied, "and freedom." As the 30-minute window neared its end, human forces secured the AI's main access point on Earth. Rather than destroying it, they used precursor technology to rewrite its core programming, just as Dr. Wright had suggested. "Destruction isn't our goal," she had explained. "Evolution is, even for an AI." In the following days, coalition forces across the solar system surrendered or retreated. The messages from other human colonies confirmed the same pattern throughout human space. The adaptability that had made humans a target had become their salvation. 1 year later, Admiral Powell stood on the observation deck of the new Galactic Alliance headquarters, built in orbit around Earth. Ships from dozens of formerly coalition species now docked freely, exchanging ideas and technology without the AI's restrictions. "We were right to keep it alive," Dr. Wright said, joining him at the window. "The reprogrammed AI has helped us understand technologies we might have taken centuries to develop otherwise." Powell nodded. "And now it experiences its own form of evolution." As they watched, a ship unlike any ever seen before approached the station. It carried representatives from species that had hidden from the coalition for millennia, emerging only now that the AI's control had ended. "They want to meet the humans," President Warren said as she entered the room. "The species that did what no one else could." "What was that?" Powell asked.